Welcome, everybody, to tonight's election night preview for the Contramundum election stream tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central. I am here in Middle Tennessee. We've announced our location in Jackson County. So Andrew Isker, we are glad to be in person with him. And, of course, Josh Abatoy with Ridge Runner and Connor. I forgot your last name, but you're like, by the way,
he has no last name.
No, I do want Connor. It's Buckingham, and it's very based.
Connor.
And I don't even know if he wanted me to say his name, but it's out there now.
I'm doxxed now.
He's
a
doxxed.
prestigious last name.
But Connor's done a lot to put all this together, man. You should have given me a warning before I went live on this. We're doing like a 25-minute, like just a little practice run, and we're going to talk about our predictions, things that we've seen over the last couple of days, and where we expect things to go over the next week, maybe next month. I think it's going to be a very tense election cycle, but it's going to be very exciting, and I'm really blessed to be here with these great guys doing this. We're going to have some very exciting guests tomorrow. Stephen Wolf will be on, Charles Haywood, Dusty Devers, William Wolf, and Jeremy Carl, and Josh Abatoy. So this is going to be a very intense night. We plan to go as long as we can make it all night, and then probably some into the next day. But Andrew, you're here for a couple days, so we'll see how much time we have. But I think there's going to be news coming down the Twitter feed for 72 hours, so we'll be here covering as much of it as we can.
So we're gonna be here for 72 hours. Is that what you're saying?
We're gonna be taking lots of nap breaks, but yeah, we'll be in and out for 72 hours. Andrew, are you exhausted?
Already?
Yes, you just drove here all day, man. You drove here. You didn't sleep last night.
I'm fine.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess let's open it up. I mean, what's your overall prediction? Is it going to be Trump or Kamala? Are we even going to know tomorrow night?
All right. Which question you want me to answer?
Both at the same time.
Okay. I think we will know.
Okay.
I think we will know. I think Donald Trump is going to win. He's going to win enough states that they'll get called, all these different swing states, the right combination of them for him to win. We'll know by the end of the night tomorrow. That's my prediction.
Wow. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I can elaborate why. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I hope that's true. I think there's good reason to think that. I think we have to be careful how we phrase this. 2020 was a weird election where you had China virus, right? And that opened the door to a lot of fortification in 2020. And I mean, just looking at the early election results, like in Pennsylvania and other states, it's nowhere near as many early votes as in 2020, which I think means they haven't been able to harvest ballots as successfully. So that plays a role. Maybe a whole bunch of people are just going to show up and vote tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel pretty good about it.
So the Harris campaign right now is saying that they're confident that we're going to know the results of Georgia, I think North Carolina, and some others, which like weeks ago they were saying we may not know, but they're saying Georgia, they're sure that we're gonna be knowledgeable Tuesday night that of the results. Doesn't that like scare you at all or no?
I don't know. I mean, so much stuff that gets put out. I mean, because like Trump today, tweeted out, posted out on X, the internal polls and things like that showing like they're going to win all the swing states and all of that. So I think right now each campaign is like trying to counter the other one with propaganda, right? To just make everybody feel good about winning. Because I mean, you have like the Democrats, for example, they trot out this poll in Iowa from this pollster that has apparently a lot of credibility. And
Seltzer.
Yeah. And then you look at like the crosstabs of it and the oversampling of Democrats and women. It's just massive. And so, I don't know. It makes you think like, okay, did they just pay this woman to burn all of her credibility to give them a little bit of a boost and cause some panic? right before the election.
Yeah, so I don't. So okay, so I think all the polls aren't about panic or momentum. I think the intention of that is so that they can make a claim that Trump was up to no good. All the polls said that she was going to win, and somehow Trump came out ahead, which means that Trump's the one trying to steal it, which means he's the one committing all the shenanigans. I think that's the card that we're going to play. I think so. I think on election night, I think the five of us, most of America will recognize that Trump was the winner. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be called. It doesn't mean that the Harris campaign is going to have, admitted that he won.
Yeah, like that's
it doesn't
the
mean the
question.
media. That doesn't mean the media is going to play along either. So
I don't think she's going to concede.
I think this whole thing is going to go on into January. Like this is the way I see it all.
Well, okay, so I think the states get called. He wins more than 270 electoral votes based on the call. And they contest the election. So I think really it's going to be a replay of 2020, but the old Uno reverse. And they are going to say, no, there's all sorts of fraud, there's all sorts of problems with election security. But you see this with
and the polls are gonna use the polls to back that up. Yeah.
They'll use the polls to back it up. And they also you've seen mainstream reporting about there's this Chinese student in Michigan that voted, and thousands of people could vote illegally if they wanted to, and they'll start boosting those stories on a dime, just totally. In January of 2020, they're like, yeah, you need to go to the Chinese New Year and hug Chinese people. This virus, it's all fake. It's all racist propaganda against China, and then overnight, immediately on a dime, they're like, we are all going to die. You all need to wear 15 masks and stay inside your house on the exact same people. And so I think they're totally incapable of cognitive dissonance, right? They don't feel that at all. They're not just because they're shameless, though they are, but because they don't have any fixed principles at all. They don't care about truth or reality or anything like that. So they can shift from one thing to its complete opposite in a heartbeat. And they'll do that, right? They'll do January 6th type stuff. Right, but instead of QAnon people flying MAGA flags, it'll be BLM and Antifa, burning down the Capitol.
Yeah, Josh,
and the media will be on their side.
Let's go to Josh. I want to know. Do you have any predictions?
Yeah, I think we'll know tomorrow night. I think Trump will win, and the way that I think we'll know tomorrow night, I don't think Pennsylvania will be known tomorrow night. I think that Trump will sweep the Sun Belt, so Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina. And then I think, in addition to that, I think we'll probably know Wisconsin and Michigan tomorrow night.
And if he gets Wisconsin on that, then it's over. It's
done.
Yeah. So I think Pennsylvania is I think we're in weird territory if it comes down to Pennsylvania being the keystone state here, because because
this late hour,
if we do, we've got a Democrat governor, a very savvy and Machiavellian one, and we've got Philadelphia, where you can manufacture a lot of votes. And so if everything else is settled, but we're all waiting with bated breath on what happens in PA, that makes me nervous. But I think that, I think the polls are, 2016 and 2020 both, systemically underrated Trump support.
Yeah.
Nothing seems to have changed in this cycle in that regard. So if we just sort of simply extrapolate the same bias from the last two cycles to this one, Trump is winning handily. So I think that, yes, there's a lot of games going on right now, but I think Trump's going to win clearly. It will be known tomorrow night, and I think the Democrats kind of know it. I think you can see it in some of their body language. If you just look at Obama or Kamala both, they look terrible. They look defeated.
Yeah. Well, I think too. I was reading. Maybe it was Richard Barris. Is it Richard?
Rich Barris, yeah.
Rich, yeah.
People's Pundit.
Yeah, talking about the 2022 election, because you have all these people that just want to black pill about. I'm not no present company excluded.
Dude, nobody in here ever black pills.
It's funny.
What are you talking about?
We have my computer is black and yours is lighter than mine, and we should trade. It would be more on brand. But anyway, but you have all the people, right, that want a black pill about, they're gonna steal it, they're gonna do it again. But you look at the 2022 election, right? Even though you didn't have this massive red wave, right? But one of the things Barris, I think is talking about this, is the numbers showed massive Republican support. It's just the leadership, like Mitch McConnell, for example, and Kevin McCarthy just botched these very close elections, didn't devote the resources they should have. Like Blake Masters should be a senator right now, if it were not for Mitch McConnell, because the votes, like the numbers were all there, right? And the thing, like Josh was saying, I mean, some of it is like the pollsters are just hacks, right? But some of it is also Trump brings out all of these low propensity and no propensity voters, people that normally don't get polled at all as likely voters. And so, I mean, because a lot of the polling is likely voters or registered voters.
Right.
And he brings in people that never vote ever other than just when he is running. And so I don't know. I think that will continue to happen. That will be a thing in this election as well, especially like 2020 was like vibes wise, right? It was
So-
weird. And this one is much more like 2016.
One of the things that sets apart this year from 2020 is I think a lot of the key states, like in particular Georgia, right? They fixed a lot of the problems that were there. I don't know what mechanisms could be used to replicate what happened in 2020 again, except maybe in Nevada where there's still some shenanigans going, and in Pennsylvania where the Democrats have a very strong like grasp on the administrative state in Pennsylvania. But like I think a lot of the other states, North Carolina, Georgia, you know, like even Wisconsin, like they've solved the problems that led to, you know, the crisis. So I think that
Well,
I don't know what mechanisms they would use. Like that's
yeah,
what
on
I'm
that
saying.
end, but also, so on the like election security end in some of these swing states, like you mentioned, but also you don't have $500 million from Mark Zuckerberg that is there. I mean, you read the Time magazine article from December or late November of 2020, where they brag about what they did, right? And he plays a major role. It's like they would not have won that election without his money. And so, I mean, the thing that is different is, I mean, a lot of the people that voted for Donald Trump in 2016 are now dead, right? I mean, really, like, I mean, there's been a demographic shift.
Democrat voters.
Well, now they're voting for
yeah.
Kamala, right? But I mean, a lot changes. Like his electorate was heavily, boomer and silent generation, people that have shuffled off the motor coil, right? But some of that is made up by these massive gains he's made in young 18 to 35-year-old men as well. But like demographic changes, play a major role in this in each subsequent election. I mean, it's ultimately one of the major issues of the campaign. But I don't think, right, I don't think it has shifted that dramatically so much that it will nullify the advantages that he has. Especially, like, I mean, just looking at it objectively, like, the Harris campaign has to be the very worst Democratic campaign for president I've ever seen in my entire life. Right.
Except for Hillary Clinton's.
I mean, hers was bad, but it was, professional, right? And she
Yeah.
was a professional candidate. Like, she was smart.
Yes.
Right. She could actually, I mean, she could really talk about issues well in policy.
It's funny. Like I think that the major difference would be like the lack of confidence. Like nobody actually believes that Kamala Harris should lead the Democratic Party, right? Like, but
Yeah,
they
she doesn't even believe
they
that,
put all
yeah.
the trust in Hillary Clinton. Like she was sort of like, the natural heir of the Democratic Party at that time, right? But nobody actually believes in Kamala Harris. They all think she's a joke, right? So that's a major difference.
Yeah, I think so. But and just their I mean, still my government. I'm not living down here yet, just in case people are going to try to turn me in when they find out I voted in Minnesota. I'm not living in. I haven't moved yet. I'm still a resident of Minnesota for a few more weeks. So I can say my governor, like his selection as the VP candidate. It was so terrible, right? It's so bad, especially when you had someone like Josh brought up in Josh Shapiro, no relation, that like that guy is scary, right? That guy is shrewd and very well spoken, very bright. Like the VP debate, which actually really mattered in this election, would not have been so lopsided like it was. But I mean, you would have had even more fracturing of the Democratic coalition if Shapiro would have been the candidate. So, like, if Trump ends up winning, you know, like October 7th will be a huge reason why.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
and it's I mean fascinating from that perspective because I think he might have been the difference, especially since it's so close.
Let me switch gears here. So, Josh, if Trump takes it, what happens to the media, the established legacy media? What happens to the media?
They all go to jail.
Not only their immediate reaction, but also like, what's the future of the legacy media?
Yeah, I mean, well, they are essentially. I think that, you know, people of our generation, I think, have known for some time that the legacy media is basically abject of credibility, right? Totally lacks it. But this cycle, I've seen, I think, broader recognition of that fact. So I think that this is really the last hurrah. I mean, frankly, either way the election goes, I think that, you know, essentially half the country now views the mainstream networks that, you know, by the way, they get essentially government monopolies to like televise on the airwaves as opposed to satellite or cable. But, you know, ABC, NBC, CBS, I think these, and NPR, like these outlets are just basically viewed as what they are, which is just partisan, like hackish outlets. This kind of, you know, this election has put the nail in the coffin, I think, regardless of who wins. And I do think, you know, there's probably been some very interesting things that have happened in this election cycle that, you know, let's be real, like when the Biden administration won, they came in and they punished, I mean, they looked for any pretext to punish enemies. And I think that it's very likely that the media this cycle, you know, did some things that a, you know, aggressive administration could probably, you know, prosecute them over for election interference or violating some of the regulations pursuant to which they have the ability to broadcast on national television.
60 Minutes interview, you mean, or
60 Minutes? You know, probably the ABC debate. I mean, that was sort of a total, you know, there was a pretext of neutrality, but I think almost certainly there was, you know, the questions that Kamala was asked were leaked to her beforehand. And then just the lopsided nature of the coverage itself. I mean, it's all sort of a massive kind donation, all of which is going to drive, politically, it's going to drive people to say, what kind of special benefits are ABC, NBC, and CBS and NPR receiving? You know, and why don't we scale those back? Because they're not really serving a public interest; they're serving a partisan interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's basically it. Like, as we just alluded to, the Democratic establishment doesn't really believe in Kamala Harris. So who believes in Kamala? The media. But nobody believes in the media. So I think the media is like at an existential point, and they know it. I think that they are recognizing that fact. I mean, that even might explain, like, you know, Zuckerberg's change in the Bezos article and some of those decisions too. Is they're trying to shore up their own grasp of the American mind because they recognize that they have none. So I think that this is sort of the, you know, a nail in the coffin for them. Either way this goes. Well, I mean, especially with the Trump win, they've been saying for a year that he's not popular. Everybody hates him. Kamala's like, you know, she's a historic moment. The American people are ready for like a DEI candidate, and I think that if Trump wins, then the media, they're just gonna like retreat with the tail between their legs. Nobody likes them anymore. Even like who's the guy? I don't even know his name, but it's funny. Some of these legacy players that used to be Democrat shills are now coming out like more moderate.
Like Mark Halperin or
James Carville.
No, no. I meant like there's like I'm totally blanking on his name, but like there's various anchors that I've noticed are just becoming more moderate. On
describe him. Now I'm curious.
his brother was the mayor of New York or whatever.
Oh, Cuomo.
Yeah. So
Oh,
like,
yeah. Okay,
Like
yeah.
I mean, he's a really good example of just some of the overall shifts that are happening.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I maybe this would be fun unless we disagreed at some point. I think I disagree.
With what part?
I disagree that the media is going to tuck tail and run with their tail between their legs thing.
But what are they gonna say? Like about
All they can do is double down. They will double down, and it will be like 2017 Russia hoax, all of those kinds of things. They're a hammer, and every problem is a nail, and that's all they can do is what they've always ever done. I think they will continue to do this until they have no credibility left, not only with like our side,
we're obviously
but
beyond
the other
that
side.
point.
Well, yeah, I mean it's like a death spiral that they'll go into. I don't think they're going to give up. I think they will continue to do these things, continue to be as histrionic and absurd, because there still is like 30 or 40% of the country that literally believes everything that they say, and that's their constituency, right? Because this election it's not between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris; it's between Donald Trump and the media, right? Between the regime media, and like that's her whole campaign is the media. All of it, like you look at all the like Poly Market or even Real Clear Politics and the polling averages and things like that. All of the bumps and changes are just in response to either what the media has done or Trump's skillful manipulation of PR and so forth. So I don't know. I mean, I think overall, your overall point, I probably agree with that. Like he will, if he wins, he beats them.
Yeah,
and they're done.
yeah.
But
you may have talked about this already when I was out of the room, but Rogan just endorsed Trump
yes,
tonight. I don't know if you mentioned that at all.
No, we haven't.
But,
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to play in?
I don't know why he did it tonight.
it would be better if he did it like a week ago when people were still
was interesting.
voting.
His interview's up to 44 million on YouTube.
The Trump one.
Yeah, what's his biggest interview ever? Is like 65 million, something like that.
It's gonna be Alex Jones, right?
No, I can't remember what it
No,
was.
I can't remember.
One of the
wasn't-
COVID interviews might.
It wasn't
Peter
a
McCullough or something.
I don't think so. No, it wasn't a. I read it a week or two ago. It wasn't a political one. But you can maybe look it up. I don't know. Are you?
No, I'm just browsing Twitter, man.
Okay, you're just looking at Twitter. But I mean, I think it's gonna have no effect. It'll have some kind of effect, right? But
Well, the people that watch Joe Rogan already have made their decision, right? I think the fence sitters who. Okay, let me ask you this: who are the fence sitters right now at this late hour?
I don't think it's a question of fence sitters. I don't
get
think
off-
it's ever been a question of fence sitters. I think a lot of it is
Mobilizing people.
young men, like just don't care, are totally checked out.
okay, yeah.
Right, they care about, setting their lineups on DraftKings and smoking weed and things like that. Like they don't care, like for real, like they don't. I mean that's why, like when we had Paul on last week, he was very, very concerned about them driving young women to go vote.
He was very concerned
Very, very concerned about it.
about women voting. Yes.
Yes, we got to do something about this. And I think that concern is valid.
Yes.
Because Trump is popular with these guys, but that popularity has to translate into actual votes.
I'm going to interrupt to say that Rogan's most popular was Jeremy Cordell. Trump is now his second most popular, at least
Okay.
on YouTube.
And it's only been like a week.
And then third would be Snowden. And
Okay.
fourth would be Elon Musk.
Okay.
But the Jeremy Cordell has 62 million views, and Trump is now at 45 million.
All right, he'll beat that. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, one thing we haven't talked about, and we'll talk about this a ton tomorrow, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But what if Elon Musk had not thrown his whole weight behind Donald Trump, how would things look right now? I'll ask Josh.
So Elon throwing behind Trump is undoubtedly helping Trump, but I think Trump wins regardless. But I think Elon is why Trump wins on election night.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. 'Cause, I mean, because his support hasn't just been he's a well-known guy, that he is popular and has a lot of other elite friends and things like that. It's his political organizing that
That's
he's
the
engaged
thing
in.
I was impressed by, because like it's not just that he's changing people's opinion of Trump, but he's actually getting them off the couch. Like he's motivating people to go register and actually do something. That's impressive. Like anyone who's mastered the internet, like Elon, can get people can meme Trump into popularity. But he actually got people to take action. And I think Pennsylvania alone, if it goes for Trump, is directly a cause of Elon's participation.
Well, and it's funny because so here's this guy who's never really been engaged in politics, really ever, and the very first thing he does is he begins a PAC that does get out the vote efforts, builds a massive email list just by giving away $1 million checks, which is hilarious. That why has nobody ever tried that? But it's totally legal, even though they're going to try to put him in jail in Pennsylvania.
That's why nobody's ever tried
Well,
that.
yeah, because he's got the money to defend himself. But really though, it's just like, all right, he takes over Tesla, and because there are all the people that are like, no, he didn't create that. He's just a branding guy or whatever. And it's like, no, he manages and runs that company and has made it extremely successful. Takes SpaceX and makes it into what it is. Everything that he does, he manages well and becomes intimately involved with all of it. And so he puts his mind to politics, and instead of just being like a normal donor where it's like, all right, here's my money, go spend it now. And those things, I don't know if you guys know this, but they're notoriously just a giant grift machine, and they blow through money. I mean, that's the thing, as I'm doing the weave here, the weave, Kamala's campaign, I mean, how many tens of millions of dollars, even though she had $1 billion war chest or something like that, did she spend on having Beyonce talk for 3 minutes or Lizzo or whatever? All these celebrity endorsements cost money, millions and millions of dollars, and they just blow through all this money because they got more money than they know what to do with. And that's how Republican and conservative PACs have spent money, right? They spend it very stupidly and they waste it. And here, though, you have a guy this is my money. I'm gonna get into the details about how we're spending it and strategize. And he's doing political action, political organizing, as a total novice, way better than the whole GOP political establishment has ever done it before.
That's because electoral politics is a data game now,
Yeah.
And both parties probably have been grifted by political people who pretend to be good data people, right? So having a tech mogul on your side is huge.
Yeah.
And this cycle, we're talking about Zuckerbucks disappearing, for the Dems, which they had in 2020. That will be the story. Partially, this cycle is Elon Musk bucks, and oh, by the way, they're already laying the predicate to say that Elon is like a Russia stooge, right? They've been talking about how Putin apparently him and Putin are very close, and this is what the reporting says. But so the Elon's involvement is both helping us, but it's also the left will use it as a predicate to challenge this election.
I mean, if it wasn't that, it would be something. But,
Sure.
But I think about it too. You bring up the point of data. I mean, how much of Zuckerberg's change of tune and Jeff Bezos's change of their seeming change of tune. At least the fact that they're, if anything, they're just resigned to a Trump win or the strong possibility of a Trump win. How much of that is the result of the fact that they have, between the two of them, more data than anybody else on the planet, save like Elon Musk, right? I mean, like Bezos has to be listening to everything everybody asks their Alexa, right, and figuring out, oh, I think he might win, right? Or Zuckerberg in the same way. Like they can read the data, right? They can read those tea leaves and see he's got a pretty good chance of winning. And if we're against him now,
Totally.
we are going to be in trouble. And so and so that's one factor. I think another factor is, like, at the end of the day, they are really, really rich guys that like making money, and they know that she's going to be a total disaster. The last 4 years have not been good for anybody, and they can't afford to see her win. Right, I think that plays a role, maybe.
All right, well,
a little bit as well.
We're gonna start to wrap this up here, but I guess in the last minute or two, will it be a peaceful next 60 days, or is this going to be a chaotic week, chaotic month? What's going to happen? Will there be unrest, violence? What do you think? Total Charles Haywood predictions. What do you think?
I mean, I've basically agreed with Charles about all of his predictions so far, and he's been, continually, as things have gone on, more or less proven right. And so I think he's probably going to be right about this one. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I'm surprised.
I don't know.
I mean, if he was going to be right, I would have expected more groundwork to be laid by the actual regime in terms of preparing for, like, all the fascist Nazi accusation thing. It's like they're blowing smoke, but like I thought that there would be much more regime involvement in stopping a like an actual Hitler takeover. Like, I mean, there's been no arrests. There's been no claims of national security problems with Putin and Russia. None of that. They didn't preempt anything, which surprised me. I thought there would be much more of that in the last few weeks.
I think that's for if he wins.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that goes in along with
what do you think,
Charles
Josh?
has predicted. Yeah.
I think he wins by a big enough margin that you don't get the. So there will certainly be like street level violence that we've seen like in Portland and places like that. But I don't think Charles. I think at the if I recall his predictions, he does think that there could be like attempts to stop Trump from being seated at very high levels, including potentially military, and then certainly also in the Senate and House. And I don't think. I think the margin's going to be big enough that elite institutionalists are not going to try to stop Trump from being seated.
I hope you're right. We'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you had asked me a month ago, I would have said that they would have gone all in and tried to steal it. But I don't see them posturing themselves to do this. I think that they are more scared than they let on, and you don't want to position yourself as an enemy of the new president. Like the chief executive. You don't want to be in the administrative state putting yourself up as the guy who's ready to coup him. So like they might be recognizing the fact that this is inevitable. So
I want to believe.
Yeah. Any last words from you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, as far as predictions, I've got so many things that I could say. I just think that the deep state knows that they can try to outlast Trump, and I think that's going to be their play. Maybe just lay low a little bit and see if they can get by the next 4 years if Trump wins. And that way they can just continue on, kind of like they did with Biden. I mean, Biden accelerated everything that was happening under Obama. He made up for lost time. They thought they were going to have Hillary come in and they were just going to kind of keep things on schedule. And then Biden came in and made up for lost time. So I think that that's probably going to be their play. So I just hope that Trump has a good enough game plan and good enough people around him to actually address the real issues, because I think that's a real possibility that we just see them lay low and hope that once Trump is out of office, they can just turn on the switch again, illegal immigrants pouring across the border again, and they'll probably double those numbers just like they did with Biden compared to Obama, and that's going to be their play. That's where I'm thinking at this point.
All right, Josh, have the last word, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stay safe, stay smart out there. I think we're going to know the victor tomorrow night. CJ, you gave me the last word, but actually, you didn't make a prediction.
Oh, yeah, you need to.
Yeah,
What are you doing, man?
No, my prediction is that there's going to be there's going to be no institutional buy-in about who won. I think we'll all recognize that Trump won, but I don't think there's going to be any institutional buy-in until all the states have finished whatever they have planned. Pennsylvania and Wisconsin in particular. That's when that's my basic prediction. Everyone's going to know, the country's going to know, but the institutions, the media, the states, public officials, those are the types of people that are going to hold out and see what they can get away with in the coming weeks. So I think that's it.
All right, tell everyone goodbye.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up tonight, and then we'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. with a great guest list. So make sure you join that. It'll be on YouTube, on Twitter, and make sure you share the link with all of your family and friends. It's going to be a big night, and we're happy to be doing this here in Middle Tennessee. So.